Yo, what is up guys? I'm bringing you a brand new video, and this time we're talking about whether having low karma can increase the amount of crystals you lose upon dying to a mob versus having maximum 300k karma. Now when I say low karma, I'm not talking about negative karma. I did this test at 31,000 karma versus 300k karma to see if you would lose more crystals when your karma is low. And the way that I did this test is I died to mobs 50 times with 300k karma, and I died to mobs 50 times with 31,000 karma, just to see if there was a big difference in the number of crystals lost. And I am happy to report that yes, there is a big difference in the number of crystals that you'll lose when you have max compared to low karma. You can see here that with 300k karma, I ended up losing 24 total crystals upon 50 deaths, which means roughly half of the time I was losing a crystal. And I also only lost 1 crystal per death as a maximum, and some of the time I would lose 0 crystals. Whereas if you look at the data for when I had 31,000 karma, you can see that I always ended up losing a crystal. It was a guarantee 50 out of 50 times I lost 1 crystal, and 25% of the time I actually lost 2 crystals. So yes, having low karma where your name may appear as white compared to having the full 300k increased the amount of crystals that I lost per death to about 2.8 times more crystals on average. So some interesting data that I ended up finding upon doing this test is some crystals, they will state that they have a lower chance of breaking upon death. So I had Ancient Magical Crystal Vipers in my gloves, and they say they have a low chance of shattering upon death. Out of 100 deaths, I never lost a single crystal, whether I had 300k karma or whether I had 31,000 karma. Whereas some of the other crystals that say they have a high chance of shattering, those were the ones that I ended up losing several of, and that was whether or not I had max or minimum karma. I would constantly be losing these crystals. So the game is being truthful when it says that it has a low chance of shattering upon death, and the ones that do have a high chance of shattering upon death, those are the ones that I constantly lost. Something interesting about the way that I lost crystals 2 at a time when I had low karma is it would always happen in the same piece of gear. So if I was to lose a helmet crystal, I would always lose 2 helmet crystals. If I lost a offhand crystal, it was always 2 of them. I never had a death where I lost 2 crystals, and one was from one piece of gear and one was from another piece of gear. It was always the same piece of gear. So I don't really know what they're doing with the calculation there, but I thought that that was just an interesting little tidbit. And to be quite honest, that whole information about the low chance of shattering actually making a big difference, I'm not sure if that's going to influence the crystals that you actually put into your gear, because a lot of crystals that you typically use, like Djinn Vipers and expensive crystals like that, they usually have a high chance of shattering. So maybe in the future, we might get better crystals that have a lower chance of shattering, because for my Ancient Magical Crystal Viper crystals, to not be lost in 100 deaths is pretty impressive, considering I lost several of the ones that had a higher chance of shattering. But that's pretty much it, guys. Hopefully you found this test interesting and learned something new. Always have high karma when you're going to a dangerous spot that you can potentially die at. You're going to want to have 300k. I was doing that because I had sort of noticed that it was a thing where I'd lose crystals every time I died with low karma, and I was never really sure, but now that the test here is done, I'm pretty confident that anytime I go to a dangerous spot, 100% I'll have max karma. But yeah, guys, if you enjoyed the video, please subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one.